right, ready for some North American CS propaganda. This video is going to be talking about why North America will take off in Counter-Strike 2. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The reality of the situation is this. Counter-Strike, as it stands, is the biggest FPS game. It's #1 game on Steam. It has the highest player base, and we'll get into the numbers a little bit more. At this point in time, with the amount of hype drawn by CS2, with less than a percentage of the user base even allowed into limited access beta, it has brought so many people back to a game that we all know has so much history. How many people have met someone and you go, do you know Counter-Strike? They're like 43 years old and they go, yeah, my brother played it. Yeah, we played it all. CS Assault back in the day, like, of course, like we used to run it. They can even do DE, Dust 2, you know what I mean? They can even quote the voice lines. Bomb has been defused. That's not what it sounds like. There's a rich history in this game combined with tons of hype, so dormant player base waiting outside the game. We want to talk about numbers here, okay? Because my first point is that Counter-Strike keeps growing. Every single time a Counter-Strike killer comes out, Counter-Strike gets bigger. And I'm talking about the silliest games. It used to be the fact that like PUBG came out and was on Steam and it was #1 game on Steam. Oh, Counter-Strike's gonna die. Fortnite came out and it was like PUBG, even though it was less like Counter-Strike. Oh, Counter-Strike's gonna die. Then it was like Overwatch came out and it's like attack FPS that looks more like TF2 than Counter-Strike, that has the gameplay of a doghouse. Surely it's going to kill Counter-Strike. No. Beautiful game, piece of trash. It's dying. Counter-Strike grew. Apex Legends comes out, better source movement than Counter-Strike. Excellent game. Hey, we kind of stand with Apex though. We like Apex. We love Apex actually. Apex is fantastic. We hope it thrives, and we know that it was never coming for us in the same way. And now Valorant, okay? Valorant, the Voldemort of all these games. The game that actually was a threat to Counter-Strike. The game that was more one-to-one than Overwatch ever was, and was only realized once Valorant came out. And it came out June 2020. And in 2020, at the beginning of the year, Counter-Strike had 500,000 people online average that month in January before Valorant. Counter-Strike had over 1 million average in the last month. The game has literally doubled in terms of average player base in the month. This game is massive. Think about that. Like in my last video I made about Glaive and Kerrigan, there were people that clearly had only started watching the game in the last like 2 years. They didn't even know about Kerrigan's history. They didn't know about Astralis. Someone asked, who would you rather have in a round 29 call? Or sorry, let's not get into that again. So that's my first point. CS keeps growing and we literally haven't even had Counter-Strike 2 come out. All right. My second point is that Counter-Strike 2 as a game, as a product, is going to go so much farther than CSGO. So much farther. When Counter-Strike Global Offensive came out 2012, it was actually bought back, I believe, from Hidden Path, who sort of, I think, bought rights to be able to create the game in CSGO, and then Valve bought it back and worked on it. Basically, a spaghetti code, a nightmare from a non-AAA dev, not nearly as an intelligent company as we have from Valve. Pound for pound, these guys are so intelligent, man. Like, think about some of the other companies that run, like Riot's got thousands of employees. Compared to Valve, and Valve do Steam, Valve do Half-Life, Valve do VR, Valve do Counter-Strike, Valve do Dota, all of these products. We sold 50 million cases. I said we, like I got a cut. In June, 50 million Counter-Strike cases were sold. You know how much money that is? It's like well over $40. And throughout CSGO, it has been a process of undoing all of the bad code written by Hidden Path, this poor little AA dev. It was the fog, the post-processing that was intended to help players stand out when they were far away, that ended up making people less visible, that had to be removed. There was a ladder bug where it would change where hitboxes were, so if someone was on a ladder and you shot at their head was actually lower and you weren't shooting at their head at all. Totally messed up the hitboxes. Lots of issues. I mean, this game is night and day. Look at a gameplay from 2013, look at a gameplay from 2023. 2 different games in the last 10 years. But now CS2 has all the lessons from CSGO, as well as a game that's built on Source 2 by Valve. They've been listening to a lot of feedback. We've had movement mentioned in updates coming into CS2. They have expressed that it's clear that they want to try to make this game feel like CSGO, but now we're going to have new smokes, dynamic smokes, more beautiful skins. Objectively, everything looks more beautiful. You don't need digital vibrance on in this game. We've got Valve's full attention again. They're going to be rejuvenated in the office. We're going to be rejuvenated at home, playing our favorite game that's changed just enough to get everybody back and to get everybody at Valve working as hard as they can on it, okay? I feel like I'm there. Okay, so another reason why CS2 is going to take off, not just as a game, but in North America, orgs are going to come back in for CS2. They're going to give it a shot. We've already seen people talk about the fact that sticker money is undeniable. Nate Shot went on his podcast and said that's actually a really good model compared to some other games. Rev share in other games is great, but if the game isn't big enough, it doesn't really matter. There is still the undeniable fact that this game is massive, and when stickers roll up at and everyone loves stickers, and stickers can end up being real money for you down the road. People are spending money on this game, and that money does go to the teams who qualify, org or not, and they're making lots, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars every single time that they qualify for a major. I'm thinking it's something closer to $500,000, and everyone's split. So if you're in the same capsule as Na'Vi, you're getting just as much money as them. So this is great if you think you can run a team that can qualify to North America. And North America is always going to have spots at the major that are easier to get to. So many times at these North American RMRs recently, we've got plenty of teams that are unsponsored. That's an opportunity. So in org that's played in some of the other bootleg games that are dying and don't make money and don't have anybody watching, even though they're cheaper, it's for a reason. Now you can come to CS2, try to get a North American RMR. And this leads me to my final point here, that the infrastructure is already there in North America, okay? As much as we are such an embarrassingly bad region in video games and non-North American sports and everything, like we make the worst teammates. Canadians a little better than Americans, but it even bleeds over to the orgs, okay? The orgs in North America are so badly run compared to orgs in Europe. I'd like to explain something called an appreciating business, okay? And explain why it is the case that orgs have messed up every esport in North America in the past. And basically, if an org signs a team or they sign players, they pay a lot. You want 10s on your Valorant team, pay $400 million, okay? Now he's walking around with that contract, however much money he was bought for. That sets the precedent, right? So the next org that comes around that wants to compete, and there are super orgs like Cloud9, G2, TSM, you know, these bigger dogs, when they want to compete for these best players to put together the best team possible, they will pay anything to get them. Because if they end up being one of the best teams and they lock in a franchise spot in Valorant, to continuously use Valorant as an example here, then it doesn't matter. They are stuck with a very high salary and they're stuck with all these things, but their investors are happy because they've got the most winning team and they can ask for more money. And so they spend ungodly amounts of money, way overpaying for every single thing. And if things don't work out, then they leave the scene with a player who just got paid way too much, whose buyout was way too much, and they leave that player in the market for somebody else to go and pick up, okay? And this messes everything up for everybody else. And the whole point is that pay to win. If you've got a lot of money, you can compete for the top spot, lock into a position where you're like top 8 in a league or a franchise or division or world or whatever, win a certain amount of money to stay afloat, keep telling your investors like you're the best team ever, get more investment, and then sell your business one day or whatever the case may be. And everybody else down at the bottom or in the mid tier trying to be fiscally responsible and try to create an ecosystem in Counter-Strike or in other games, everybody gets screwed over because the players that they want are getting traded around at a echelon way higher than they're capable of reaching. And then again, some of these bigger orgs even end up leaving the scene and leaving these numbers really high and doing tons of damage. And that's something that all orgs do this, I would say, to some degree. The bigger ones in general, but North America is the most responsible for sure. But that's all to say. Lessons may be learned from that. And I think from CS after some time, orgs are going to come in a little bit lower than they did in CSGO. And I think it got to a point where it was impossible to get a team unless you were one of these super orgs and extremely wealthy. But now I think it's not like that. You know, players aren't going to ego you and hold out for a better contract from a bigger org because there might not be any. I think we've got much more gratitude now, and especially in North America when it comes to accepting better wages and realizing that if you're a tier 2 team that has a player who hasn't proved anything, you might need to get onto an org that is in the same position and accept a fair wage and start trying to make your money by qualifying to events, getting some trophies before you start asking for money. And I think with all of these factors combined, and the fact that we still got Blast Washington, IEM Dallas, the potential for IEM New York, IEM San Jose. I've been doing rivalry events in Toronto. I want to run the first CS2 local LAN in Toronto and revive our local LAN scene. And I know that when I run local LANs in Toronto, everybody's going to come back for CS2. I know it. As somebody who grew up here and has gone to so many local LANs. I played with some of your favorite North American players in history in these local LANs. There's Fragadelphia in the US. There is a lot of infrastructure in place for North Americans to get back and get involved in CS2, and they'll all come back to give it a shot. It's really about capturing lightning in the bottle in the sense that there will be a time period when CS2 comes out and everyone's going to give it a try. And if we don't mess it up, we could really capitalize. And hopefully players are ready to catch that. And it feels like with the amount of players coming through, we're going to have a new generation of top talent in the first place. So even the ones who left, it's sad, and we lost a lot of important experience with the Premier and Invite players that left to go play Valorant, because it means that we can teach the younger players a little bit more slowly now. But with the amount of players coming through and the amount of resources overall out there to get better, I think it's only a matter of time before we have a new generation of pros coming up in North America. And remember, the ad dollars is the last thing, okay? North America will not go anywhere in esports, no matter how terrible our teams are, because we have insane fan culture. And this is specifically America, but we've got the most rabid fans. We've got the huge ad dollars, advertisers who partner with TOs, want to see them run events in North America, even though they can cost 3 times more to run the same event because their advertisements go farther. So when they sign on to be partner with ESL or Blast or whoever it is, they're saying, so you're running events North America, right? Because I want to have presence there so that we can actually make this worth our money. So no matter what happens, even if it's expensive, even if we're trash, even if our teams don't qualify to our own events, there will always be events in North America. Isn't that amazing? So we're going to have to get used to a fan base that is disproportionately affectionate to their teams and supports them no matter how bad they are. Even when there's regions with teams that are better with lower support, this is North America's advantage. But this is why we have a chance to make it and make it all look good. And more events in North America is more events that people can qualify to from all over the world, more variety in the broadcast. It's more everything. It's just great. Let's start off on a good foot. It's a massive chance for CS2 to be way bigger than Counter-Strike has ever been in history, just like CSGO was bigger than Source and 1.6, because it seems very real. So let's have some fun with it and make Counter-Strike the best game of all time.